paper magic will survive like the heat death of the universe, and will...
Oh, it's a smuggler's copter. Would you like to crew this? And then it crashes because they don't understand arithmetic.
All your cards belong to me.
2 minutes into macing him in the eyeballs, I switched to pepper spray. He's like, it's all right, refreshing. And went back to the mace.
Magic is dying. I'm done. Selling everything.
I might be a hoarder. And yes,
I don't have the crayons or glue to explain this to you right now.
What, are you gonna die twice?
Oil will be worthless before magic cards will.
well, okay, Dr. Man.
That's Mr. Dr. Professor Jason.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Post Vegas show. As you might be able to
welcome
tell,
back to the Post Vegas show.
that's what
Is
we're
this our
renaming
second
the podcast.
installment of the Post Vegas show? Like, what do you mean, welcome back to the Post Vegas show?
Well, this is
This
actually
is the
probably
first.
Technically,
our
there have been
fourth.
other Vegases.
yeah, this is our
This
our
is
fourth
the fifth or
installment.
sixth post-Vegas show ever.
Yeah, for sure. Just so you know.
Just so you know, you're wrong, but I don't feel like arguing about this. I will save my argument spoons for later in the podcast where you're going to say something really stupid. And if I don't call you on it, I'm going to get a bunch of DMs. Okay? So, you know
Me?
what? I'm going to pick my battles.
You think I would
can
say
have this
something
one.
stupid?
You can have this
Thank
one.
you. I appreciate that. I'll take it.
Agree
Post
to
Vegas show,
disagree.
everybody.
Welcome back to this argument. Welcome back.
So
Corbin.
DJ and I,
Rent
DJ and I,
free. All right.
DJ and I have just returned from Vegas. You know, I've had days where I felt more alive than I do today. Pretty exhausted after the weekend.
Yeah,
I did
well,
some road
COVID-19
coverage.
will do that to you. It'll wipe you out.
Yeah. There was at least one person of the 10,000 there who tested positive for COVID. So I guess we'll see where we go from here. But overall, the event was very well run. Lots of table space, people wearing masks throughout the hall the entire time. It was very well enforced. I was very happy with how CFP managed that end of things. But look, what we're all here to talk about, though, is the tweet I made, which has 15,000 views and counting on Twitter, of DJ's Gonti deck ASMR shuffling.
You didn't even tag me in it.
I
It's
know.
not about you. It's about the deck. Plus, every time someone comes up to you and asks you if you've heard about the Gonti deck, my smile gets a little wider permanently.
That was the highlight of my weekend. So I'm working on a different project where everything is sealed in the pre-release package. So I had a few buys where I was like, oh, I need this for that deck. And the person was like, oh, that's a really cool idea. Have you heard of the heavily played unslaved Gonti deck? And I just smiled and turned around and reached into my backpack.
Yeah, look, I understand. I don't know if you know this or not, but I'm a professional social media viral marketer.
Nobody
Okay.
knows that.
Oh,
I don't
Maybe
think
you
you
should
know
get
that.
better at marketing yourself, because no one
Oh.
knows you do that.
I see. I do a lot of. Well, I do some work anyways in the Magic community.
You
so I
dabble.
post-
You dabble.
I dabble. Yeah, I posted DJ's deck to Reddit, saying this Gonti deck at Vegas, and I called it the famous Gonti deck. But I didn't tag DJ because then it would look like I'm bragging, like I'm just trying to get promotion for DJ. It has to look and feel organic.
Like it's promotion for this podcast.
It has to
Brainstorm
feel
Brewery.
like it wasn't done intentionally. Like the cards in the Gonti deck were destroyed organically.
Yeah, don't worry. I did post in Reddit your FAQ on your Twitter about how you were not the one who destroyed these cards, because I think that does matter, because people get viscerally angry about expensive Magic cards not being treated pristinely. Never seen anyone freak out over a crumpled $100 bill, though.
It's weird because like those same people are the ones that want Magic cards to be cheap.
Mhm.
So like if I like smash a like Alpha Swamp into the edge of a table or whatever, they're like, gasp! But like that's reducing the value of the card that they may theoretically want to own in the future. And so like a Cabal Coffers that like rubs against like sandpaper against a table, they're like, oh no, you're ruining it. But like it's also becoming cheaper if I ever throw the deck away, which I won't. But like,
But also,
Oh, you're destroying Magic cards. You're destroying money. Now, if you excuse me, I gotta go step over a homeless person to go out and eat tacos.
But also, The cards are already destroyed. What are you gonna
Yes.
do to them?
They
Like
could be
I'm gonna use them-
rehabilitated.
this Liliana doesn't have a corner. I hope I don't scuff the side of that exists. So who cares?
You know who
How about-
does have a corner? The homeless person you stepped over. They live on that corner. And you need to reconfigure your priorities. Nobody's
am
allowed to
going
care
to,
about anything until everyone has a home.
I am going to continue to use a lot of the cards as coasters, though. That was a good way to start the video. I agree.
You know who needs
Yeah.
a coaster? Homeless
Corbin,
people.
Corbin needs
Because
to
they're
coast through the rest of
alcoholics,
this-
DJ. That's why they have no homes.
I was gonna say Corbin needs to coast through the rest of this podcast.
He was planning on it. Why
I'm
are
always-
we doing this episode?
That's my
Um,
secret. Is ABC.
it-
Always be coasting. All right. Well, with that, we're just gonna smooth right along here. This is how you do transitions perfectly into breaking bulk.
I hope that's a really rough transition because we always just like have a
Just
5
add
minute
like
tangent.
just add like a tire screech sound before irregular things like that.
We just have
Yeah, I
JJ
mean, look.
cut so much, and we're like, "What were we talking about?" Right before we said it doesn't matter. It's not our. It's our editor's responsibility to make that sound seamless. And if he doesn't, well,
True.
can that be blamed on us? I don't think so. Just because we gave him nothing to work with doesn't mean he gets to not do his job.
Well put, Jason. I also liked how you put it on Twitter that DJ's deck is more famous than we are, which is true.
It's true.
Very much so.
We've never made anything that got 10,000 or 15,000 views.
I mean, I have, but okay, that's fine.
No, you haven't.
Okay.
Breaking bulk time. Breaking bulk time. Break.
Oh, yeah, breaking bulk. There's so much good stuff.
It's a pick. Breaking bulk. The end.
Moving along, then, I've got a green uncommon from Adventures in the Forgotten Realm.
Is it a class? That's a yes.
Which did you all have guesses for the card?
I
Is
asked
it
if it's a class.
Plus what?
Okay,
Druid class?
It is Druid class.
I nailed it.
It's $1. Yeah, it's $1. It's actually was 40-50 cents for a while. Over the last couple months, and it's come back up to $1. So look, a lot of these classes are very, very good. It seems like in multiple formats, like Ranger class is absurd in constructed formats.
They're all-
Wizard class
they're all
worth
dumb.
$.
Right? Like name
That's
name
a cool
the
card.
worst one of those.
Monk, I think.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of them, so like there's probably some bad ones, but I actually played the monk one. I played monk one in Throw. It's blue white enchantment based. I think that's monk class. Card's cool.
It's the blue-white one.
But like Druid class, whenever a land enters you play, you gain a life. You can get an additional land, and then when it becomes level 3, target land becomes a creature. It's all about that level 2 on Druid class, allowing you an extra land drop. A form that is not it's an enchantment, not a creature that can be removed as easily. So
Yeah, monk
Druid
class is pretty medium.
They're all just good.
Yeah.
All of them.
I have an Urza's Saga uncommon that is an artifact.
Okay, so
And Jason should know it.
Thran Foundry or Cathodian or
Neither.
Dragon Blood or
This is a card that I thought would be
Wire-
your first guess.
Wirecat or
Still incorrect.
Man,
You play this card a lot, I think.
I'm sure I do. It's an artifact
Uh-huh.
from Saga.
Uh-huh.
That's the gears.
Yeah.
Good job, Corbin. I don't have a cookie to give you.
Do you think I play it a lot? How many printings does it have?
If you count Mystery Booster, then 3. So it had 1 reprint, and then there is a Mystery Booster. And the Mystery Booster is of the reprint, so
Well, what was it reprinted in?
C15.
Mirza's Gears? Not a clue.
Ah, I'm stumped.
Crystal Chimes.
Oh, I don't play this, but yeah, that's a good card.
It is 3 mana, artifact, 3 tap, sack it, return all enchantments from your graveyard to your hand. This is one of the only ways to get back a bunch of enchantments. It is something that people swap out for replenish once they get a raise at a job that they'll never get. But it is just a cheapo way to put a bunch of artifacts in your hand. Then you can either sacrifice them or chain them out with like enchantress effects or do whatever. But it is just a quarter card that slowly has crept up to the $2 range over the past year or two.
Crazy. Good card.
Is there a reason you don't play it? Is it just too slow?
Yeah, it's slow.
Okay.
Narset has Estrid has a built-in replenish.
Sure. I mean, I figured you have like a lot of enchantment decks, so.
I have one. Maybe I should have more.
You have the Mardu one, right?
That deck sucks. I never play that.
Okay.
Oh, the deck is so bad. Why won't it be good? Gen. Why can't you be good, Gen?
I thought that deck was kind of cool. Is it just terrible?
Yeah, it's just terrible. Because everybody, like, they kill Gen, and then you just, like, you gotta wait 2 turns to use him. Or, like, you're not building your board because you're just, like, swapping a cheap enchantment for an expensive one. It's too fair. Like, they made it too fair. If he had haste or something, it might be a little better.
Yeah, any commander that has to tap to activate, it's like playing my Mael deck. When it works, it looks great. But if someone just plays a couple removal spells, it's like it's turn 7 and I haven't done anything.
Yeah. And like no good passive ability. This is the same set they gave us Yearlock and all kind of unfair shit that just has like a nice passive triggered ability. Yeah. What are you gonna do? What you are gonna do is try to guess this M21 blue uncommon.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Psychic Corrosion?
M21 blue uncommon.
Is it the Psychic Corrosion, or is that 19? All 3 of those core sets blend together.
Yeah. This one was the one that came out during the pandemic.
It's not Psychic Corrosion?
It's not an enchantment.
Oh. But it's a blue uncommon that mills people?
He didn't say anything about mill.
I never said mill people.
Oh, I see. Okay.
You made that up.
Okay. M21 blue uncommon.
Yup.
I did not play much of this core set. I was having a baby.
No one did.
No
one did. So no one knows about how good Miscast is.
I don't even know what that card is. Oh, Miscast. Counter target sorcery spell.
Unless its controller pays tree. It's instant or sorcery.
Oh, yeah, that card's cool.
It's pretty good. So, Miscast is, like over $1 now.
This is probably just like a standard thing, right?
I guess, but
it could be kind of, but it's really not played that much in standard to my knowledge. It's just a good card, though.
Because this doesn't scale into Commander particularly well.
But I've seen a lot of Commander lists, though.
It's better than Spell Pierce in a lot of the matchups where you want Spell Pierce.
Yeah, if you're just trying to protect your Commander also, Decks with expensive commanders, not Gen, unfortunately, but decks with expensive commanders tend to run cheap stuff like this for people. It's like, oh, okay, well, just pew your guy early, and you're like, no, you will not. I gave him war.
I mean, how often is this cast not Swan Song in Commander?
I'm just going, look, man, I'm just looking at data. I'm looking at how much Miscast is in decks and how much it costs, and I'm saying, perhaps we shouldn't be telling people their business. Perhaps we should be listening.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Swan Song's expensive.
I think Miscast is probably just Swan Song most of the time in Commander.
Swan Song is also, like, that depends if somebody wants to pay $10+ for their Swan Song, though. Right? Like, you can't say, like, oh, yeah, just play Replenish, idiot. Like, Replenish is expensive. Some people will
No. What I'm saying is that 99% percent of the time you cast miscast in Commander, I think it will be as good as Swan Song. I think it's a great budget option because most of the time the things you're Swan Songing are things people are tapping out for, like permanent Hailfire or whatever, right? Like I think miscast is actually probably just very, very good in Commander.
It's narrow, but it's certainly possible. Like people like to Swan Song people's commanders and like Swiftfoot boots and shit. Be better than Spell Pierce though, a card I never play. So who knows? I just don't like. I don't like a ton of counter spells. If I'm going to run a counter spell, it should either like only counter stuff that targets my stuff, or it should have other modes on it, so I can use it as a stifle if I need to.
Also, they've done cool stuff in that space, right? Remember, this is one of my favorites was the Conjure Suspicions or the Shadows of Innistrad one that countered a spell and then investigated 3 times.
Confirm Suspicions.
Confirm Suspicions, yeah.
That's very good. I like that card a lot.
That's
in
stuff
the
like
deck where I run it, but it's very
like
good.
5
Yeah, I mean,
mana.
Yeah.
It's not like super powerful, but
it's
it
a
is
spell
cool.
swindle, basically.
Yeah. Well, and Spell Swindle's another good one.
I run the shit out of Spell Swindle. Absolutely. Love that card. Yeah, it's hard to keep up 5 mana for a counter spell, but like it should be worth it. Like Desertion is worth it. I
Well,
have
also,
countered a
like-
Wrath of God with a Desertion. Like you could do that. People are not ready for it, but you can do it.
Also, you play them in decks that are probably built around it. Or like I have my Keranos deck, right? It's almost all instants and sorceries, and there's a
Sure.
handful of counter spells, and so it's usually not like mana almost never goes to waste, you know. Like usually countering a spell is like the last thing you want to do with your mana.
Yeah.
Which means you only do it when it's saving you the game, which is good.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it.
I think that's why people run
All right,
0
let's,
mana counter spells in Commander a lot.
Do you like that?
Do I like it? I don't know. I don't. I've got more of a problem with board wipes than counter spells, I think.
Wow, that is a hot take.
Yeah.
A lot of board wipes, but I do recognize how poorly my decks were built to play webcam Commander, that's for sure.
Board
Like,
wipes
my
just
deck
make the
would
game
go-
take longer.
Well, the thing is, if you're playing with like your 3 friends, like it almost doesn't matter whether you're playing 3 1-hour games or 1 3-hour game, right? If you're there to just hang out with your friends.
Yeah.
And that tends to be how my games at home go. Everyone plays a lot of interaction, a lot of removal.
And then
no
someone
one-
plays Skullstorm and no one can deal with it.
I mean, yeah, you can see how that meta develops, right?
I won't pretend that I didn't wreck somebody with Skullstorm in one of our webcam games. Just absolutely just nuked the table
See?
and
you go.
felt good.
It really is just a function. Like in a 3-hour game, that card's going to be unbeatable. In a 1-hour game, probably not quite as much. That makes sense. But let's talk about Vegas. I
wasn't
did some
there.
rogue. I did some. You made a decision. It was probably one of the better decisions made. I did some rogue coverage for Masters of Modern podcast. Definitely go check it out. Alex Kessler and the podcast, Ben Bateman, and the entire team there at Kesco is great. So they gave me the opportunity to go do some coverage, and we did some neat deck techs and got out the deck lists and all the good stuff, all the stuff that I would typically be doing for Wizards or somewhere else if that was if I had the opportunity. I got to do it this weekend, and it was a lot of fun. Not really a ton of insights from the fact that Modern is wide the hell open. Modern Horizons 2 is very, very broken, and
Yeah.
other than that, you can have fun.
More so than Modern Horizons 1, which is crazy to me.
No, Modern Horizons 1 broke the format. Like, that required several bannings.
What out of Modern
Hogak.
Horizons 1 besides Hogak?
Altar of Dementia, right? Didn't that get banned first?
But that only got banned because they weren't banning Hogak. Or they banned Bridge from Below, not Altar, right?
I don't remember.
They
I just know there were
banned-
multiple bannings after MH1.
Yeah, they banned Bridge instead of Hogak because Hogak
Because they
was
didn't
new.
want to ban a brand new card and then
Didn't
And then they had
something
to ban
didn't
Hogak.
something from Arclight Phoenix get banned too? At like
They
immediately
banned
after that?
They banned looting.
They banned whom?
They banned faithless looting.
Oh. Faithless looting was still legal in Modern when when Modern Horizons 1 came out?
I think so. Yeah,
Goodness.
it was broken. That's when it really went from like.
I think it was just really good because, man, back then the decks were all so grindy. It was like Faithless Looting was fine because you needed it to play your red, black, white deck where the only creatures were like Lingering Souls or something. Like, it was really grindy for a while.
That was a
So,
long time ago. Yeah, I'm going to come in with a hot take here about Modern though. The free spells in the format have made it a much better format, and they've made it more fair.
the elementals?
Plus force the negation. Yeah. I don't know how hot of a take that is, but it's made the format more like Legacy. Where
I don't think that's a hot take. That's the same take I heard all weekend when I was buying cards for 40 hours.
Was it people like that?
Yeah, people said that Modern's in a good place. Everybody's doing broken things, but it's like everybody has the choice to do like a bunch of different broken things.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
and
that's right.
the thing is, those cards they actually function like Force of Will, right? And in Legacy, where the combination of Force of Will and Wasteland just drains people on resources really fast. And that's kind of what happens now with all the free elementals plus like people that interact with Urza's Saga and stuff. And like I think Ragavan probably needs to be banned, but everything else is pretty lit.
You want to hear my hot take? That's way hotter take than yours.
I had no idea if mine was a hot take, so let's hear it.
Those free spells existing are like, and people saying are good. Those tweets are coming from the same people who will Yu-Gi-Oh for having free spells.
Yeah, because Yu-Gi-Oh is different from Magic, and we're allowed to get on a different game.
But for different reasons, right? Like you can Yu-Gi-Oh for a lot of reasons.
You can come up with any reason to get on Yu-Gi-Oh.
It's the most popular card game in the world for a reason.
Yeah, because it's popular in Asian countries.
But
that's
like
the reason.
That doesn't mean that like it's popular. Like that doesn't disavow its popularity. Like
Is
it's still
your
a very
argument-
very well designed game for in some aspects. Like Yu-Gi-Oh has
DJ,
a lot
is
of
your
problems.
argument that people use your argument here that people like doing broken stuff?
I think that there are a lot of people who think that Yu-Gi-Oh is a fundamentally flawed game when there are a lot of checks and balances within the game to keep it the same like the same style of power level as Modern Horizons 2. And like people don't want to hear like a nuanced discussion about that. They want to see like turf wars and like Magic good, Yugi bad, my game very good. Like they want like stick versus rock monkey fights. And
Sure.
like Yu-Gi-Oh what? Like Yu-Gi-Oh
No,
has
that's
like a lot of good design aspects to that, and like if everybody's doing broken things and you can keep them in check, then like you could have crazy turn one like Force of Will style battles. The card, not the game. And like it's part of the way the game is designed.
We're a Yu-Gi-Oh podcast now.
I literally know nothing about the game of Yu-Gi-Oh outside
It doesn't have a
you know,
reserved list. I'm not
the
interested.
first season of the TV show. So if it's any different than that, I got nothing.
My brother-in-law is big into it, and I could easily learn the game.
I would recommend people to try it.
Nah,
Like,
I
if
have
you-
a card game.
Have you tried Flesh and Blood?
Yeah.
That's a choice you made, I guess.
No, it wasn't.
Everything's flesh and blood now. We covered this already.
I bought cards from so many people who regretted buying into Flesh and Blood. Oh my god, Gonti was not the highlight of my weekend. The highlight of my weekend was like the 20 different people who were like, yeah, man, I thought Flesh and Blood was going to be the next big thing, but like now that I'm back here playing Magic, like, man, Flesh and Blood is, I spent a lot of money on
We
this
are
box.
not. I am not going to publicly disparage Flesh and Blood.
You
Any
could
more
go
than I
to a
already have.
flesh and blood show and hear 20 people say that about Magic too.
I'm so glad I quit Magic, having to know
Corbin,
the
Corbin,
mana
Corbin,
cost of a
Corbin,
card
Corbin,
and not
Corbin,
say it's
Corbin,
anywhere
Corbin,
from 1 to
Corbin,
3.
Corbin.
The difference between those two like scenarios is that people will still be doing that at Magic shows like 2 years from now.
Ooh.
Okay. Maybe. Maybe
Ooh,
not.
more like flesh in the pan. Am I right?
That sounds painful.
That was a very good one. People at home are laughing and they're like, wow, DJ and Corbin aren't laughing. Should I not be laughing? And no, they're wrong. You are right, listener.
What if they weren't laughing?
They were.
Okay.
Unless they didn't get the joke. Should I explain the joke?
No, absolutely
Jason's
not.
ability to talk over other people while drunk is only surpassed by his ability to try to force his jokes down other people's throats.
I don't talk over other people while I'm drunk.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
He does it when he's sober.
La 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 la. See? I'm not
See?
drunk yet.
See, sober. TJ, what was the experience buying cards behind the booth? It looked like you had a very long line the entire weekend.
So I know us and 95 had lines of at least 2 to 3 hours, which is a questionable EV of your top
I
time
agree.
depending on what you were trying to sell. I had people spend 2 hours in line and they're like, I have $200 in cards, and I'm like, blinking guy emoji. So that was a thing. We had a fun little experiment where one of our sellers took a post-it note and wrote the current time on it and then ran to the back of the line and then said, hand this to the buyer when you reach them. So it was this note said 3:15, and then I had a buy where it's oh, this is 5:10 p.m. What is this?
Disney World now. That's how you do it.
Oh my god, how much would you pay? How much would you pay for a dealer fast pass?
We had so fun fact, we had that.
Well,
Michael,
honestly, the dealer fast pass for me back in my day was called networking. You met them at the hotel, you did a private buy, and you bought them alcohol and maybe other stuff.
Yeah, so Michael Caffrey, I worked for Tales of Adventure booth this weekend. He set up an appointment system where you could scan a QR code on your phone or go to a specific URL, and you could set a Google appointment with him, basically. And he had appointments open for all Thursday before the event hall was open. And then you could schedule an appointment time for Friday, Saturday, or Sunday at a specific time. And then you'd get a text, and then you would come to your appointment, and then you were automatically first in line, and you get the next available buyer, because we were 7 buyers deep all weekend. And so
man is an innovator.
It was really smart. I think there's a lot of ways you can improve upon it. But yeah, we were 7 buyers deep all weekend, which is insane. It was busier than any other Vegas I'd ever worked. We had some amount of breathing room on Sunday. It was Sunday at 1 or 2 o'clock, and we were just there's no line. I can stand up. I can get a snack.
Doesn't everyone know you should fly home on Monday at 10 p.m.?
I flew home Sunday
night. These people
night.
Trying to go home and do a podcast? I thought you said you were flying home Monday.
No, I said
I don't pay attention.
I got home Monday at 11 in the morning and then continued to work all day.
Yeah, Vegas was exhausting, especially if you're me and go gambling every night instead of sleeping.
So the biggest thing about buying Magic cards over the past the biggest thing about buying Magic cards this event was that transactions take a lot longer. We talked a little bit about this with Paul, who was also on the other side of the booth from me, and we didn't get a chance to really speak much all weekend. But transactions take a lot longer for 2 reasons. The first is that buyers have to look up more cards now. I likened it to learning a language over the course of a weekend, where it's this is a language of card prices that I knew and was very proficient in, and I still did Magic as my full-time job for the past 2 years, just from my home, buying collections from Twitter, locally, driving places, selling, repricing my TCG. I wasn't just completely foreign to card prices over the years, but buying in that volume and seeing that many unique individual cards is just so different, and it's so frustrating to a degree when knowing oh, in 2019 that's pull out every single card from a binder, place it on the mat, maybe use the website or the computer for a weird Japanese foil or a weird reserve list card that might have spiked. But no, you're on Friday, you're looking up every other card that's not on the hot list, and it's did this spike? Is this 5 or an 8 now? Because I don't want to get it wrong. It felt so bad to just be control effing a lot, and that's what a lot of where the line comes from is we're not inefficient and we have a lot of buyers, but every transaction for every buyer, no buyer is this human database that just knows all the card prices and how they've changed over the past 2 years.
That's a good point. I mean, because on top of that, we talked about also the different versions of cards making things slow to look up and having a lot more numbers to have to think about. But you're right that it's just muscle memory didn't exist for the past year and a half.
Yeah, like the different versions thing, you can kind of get it down to a heuristic where it's like a lot of the extended art or showcase stuff doesn't have a premium, so you just get to use the same number for that card. It only gets weird when it comes to like extended art foils. Like Torbrand's a good example where it's like it's basically a bulk rare, but like the extended art foils like $30 for whatever reason. So it's like, okay, I know that this version of these kinds of cards is like the new quote foil where it's like the good one.
Right.
Yeah, like buying was incredibly crazy. I do the other thing is that Paul mentioned that he thinks that the market is just going to crater in December, which like there's a good chance it does. I don't think it will as bad as he does, but like if you think about the logistics of like batches and how they come back from events, like there are still vendors who were on site Monday doing deals, and then they're flying or driving back on Tuesday, and then they have to like set up their intake system with like batches and employees and like getting cards put into the system and listed as sorting is the first thing, obviously. Like basically no vendor can like sort that efficiently
And
on site,
and
especially
it's,
like if you have somebody sorting, that person could be a buyer. So like the
and it's
average
Thanksgiving now.
yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. Like the timing of this event specifically is also just like wild in terms of like processes and like so basically no vendors are going to have their stock up for Black Friday. That's a whole thing. Yeah, but like there were a lot of people that were like, "Oh, hey, are you're buying cards this weekend, right? And I can get paid in store credit, and I can put my store credit on the website." And I'm like, "Yep, you can do that." And they're like, "Oh, cool. So I'll be able to buy any Ren and Sixes that you put on the website this week." And I was like, my friend, no, that is not how this works."
Interesting. I mean, it's definitely something to keep an eye on because, typically, look, we're coming at the end of the year. People buy a lot of cards. Cards go on sale for the holidays. And then we see things tick up, of course, over the early months of the year. So if it is set to really drop hard, it'll be interesting to see where things go from here. But that's going to be something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, like, and there's another totally separate issue with Amazon, but that's like a thing I'm not going to get into the weeds about. There's a couple people we could have on the cast who sell on Amazon that would have like extremely good insight, and like this weekend was not just buying. I also like networked a lot and learned a lot more about the industry from people who I haven't seen in 2 years. But like there's certain listings on Amazon that are just basically disappearing is the short of it, and like cards get bought at premium prices sometimes so they can be sold on certain sites at higher prices. And like if entire listings for sets are just vanishing from Amazon, then like that has a trickle down effect to like how those cards can be bought on buy lists, just because Amazon's a whole different animal. Oh, the other thing that like makes transactions take longer at Vegas is like people don't have social interaction skills anymore, which is like understandable. Like people
They
just
did
have...
before. You really think they did before this same community?
I do. I for whatever skills they had been lessened by the pandemic. So like just even conversational buys that you'd normally be able to like smooth through were like just I guess halted a bit by the fact that like people didn't have the ability to like voice their opinions or their thoughts as efficiently as they used to.
Not everyone has a podcast to keep them sharp. Am I right?
You are the sharpest tool in our shed, Corbin.
This is you, Sharp.
Yeah, only the best. Speaking of the best, we want to give a shout out to our sponsor, mtgstocks.com, which, by the way, is now an entire family of websites. There's Ab Stocks, there's Pika Stocks, there's anything you want. It turns out when
What's
it comes
Pika
to card...
Stocks? Is that Yu-Gi-Oh?
No, that would be Yugi Stocks.
Okay, Boomer.
Coming soon, TM. Anyways, we use them for all of our data gathering. It is the best by far. And now they have a premium version that is very affordable, comes with price alerts, comes with the ability to detail your settings. It's got a lot of good stuff that we think you'll find valuable. So go check that out at mtgstocks.com.
Yeah, they made us play around with it and give them feedback, and they listen to our feedback, but also like we have had enough time to play around with MTG Stocks Premium that we're big fans.
I don't know if the deal offer has been filled up yet. I believe it was the first 250 users got a discount at $10 a month instead of $25 a month. So if you are inkling to test it out, you are financially incentivized to do so sooner rather than later before all of the spots fill up for the early birds.
That's pretty FOMO-y, but also like that doesn't change reality. There are a limited number of spots.
Like
so.
the expected value, like even if you try it out and you find out you didn't like it, the expected value is like there for you to like spend $10 and just tinker with it for the next 3 weeks before you decide, oh, okay, it's not for me. Like that. I mean, yeah, it's
or sell your account with your year of access to somebody for $300.
That's the next level. That's thinking with portals.
Anyways, we'll go check that out. Speaking of, I want to move into pick of the week here.
Pick of the week, pick of the week, pick of the week. Time for the pick of the week.
Because I want to talk about this sweet
Speaking
deck.
of what? You didn't finish that sentence. You just said, speaking of, I want to go to pick of the week. Finish your sentence. Speaking of what? Picks?
You're the sharpest tool, Corbin. Come on, you got this.
Speaking
I
of
believe in you.
weeks? Speaking of? Finish
It
your
was
sentence.
speaking of premium. I want to talk about the top decks that are causing the biggest movement, and
No, God, no. Why would you? No.
it was a bad segue. I'm sorry.
Not even the segue. Like, okay, so like Corbin hasn't actually done Magic Finance in close to 8 years now, I think. So he may be a little behind in the fact that like card prices don't move because of your 60 card like coverage list formats, okay? Commander is the only thing that matters in this game now, and you need to accept it and learn it and internalize that.
No, that's not true.
Nope.
Like, Solitude went up.
You're wrong.
It's like one card every couple of months.
Listen to me for this amazing.
So
pick of the
Corbin
week.
is going to use a double-digit percentage of our airtime this weekend to talk about his one card every 2 months. I am listening. I have my chin on my hand.
Thank you.
I am leaning closer to the mic. What financial insight can you provide that is going to help our listeners with their formats?
My name's Douglas Johnson, and I accuse other people of talking over people.
Why do you need to move closer to the mic to listen?
I'm dedicating. I'm moving closer to the camera. Sure, like I'm moving closer to the camera. I am for the YouTubers out
How do
there.
you need to move it
I am
closer to
more
the camera to help you
invested.
listen? Do you not know how headphones work?
For our conversation.
I hate you both. All right, listen. Korok, Dread Cantor, was in the winning Modern deck, and it is sweet. It's the 2-drop from Modern Horizons 2, kicker, the 2/1 pro white, pretty good when Hammer Time's running around. Whenever an opponent discards a card, put a counter on it, and if you kick it for 2 mana, target opponent discards 2 cards at random. It's a very
So
good
it's
card.
what? It's 4 mana for a 2/1 body staple to him to Torok?
Yeah,
With
2/1
pro
pro
white.
white body.
That's jacked up.
Yeah, and pro white in a field of Stoneforge Mystic is and other all the Hammer Time shenanigans, whatever, is pretty good. So Torok was in this the red black Croxa deck that won the tournament. It was $2. It's moved up to about $2.50. It's been creeping up over the last few days. It's easily a $5 card, but it might be more. I mean, depending on what happens with Paper Modern over the next year, it could be a $10 card very easily. It's very powerful. Just won a GP like event, and that has been your Modern update. You're welcome.
Cool. Was that pick of the week? Or was that a Modern update? Did you just invent a new segment?
Modern update?
Yeah.
Well, the once every 6 months.
Work
Modern
on that
update.
name. That's not a good name.
Modern minute.
I'm gonna Mishra's Workshop that name real quick. Corbin Hostler here.
Finish
was
your
clever,
sentence,
DJ.
DJ.
It's good.
Finish your sentence. All right.
I'm Corbin. I don't finish my sentences. I'm a wild card.
Speaking of my pick of the week, I have a high risk, high reward pick of the week. This could go nuts. Okay, so let's do some mathematics. Do you think an uncommon from Prophecy that is played in the 5th most popular deck in Commander Legends is going to move more than a card that is played in the 2nd most popular deck from Crimson Vow and is rare, meaning 3 times as rare as the uncommon. Because Infernal Genesis is played in... What?
Carry the 2. I mean, this is complicated math here, Jason.
Well, look at you got Toxrill, right? Toxrill's the number 2 Crimson Vow commander right now after Ronu, the guy, the vampire. Runo. He's like, I'm a vampire, and they're like, oh, cool. Do you do vampire stuff? He's like, no, I'm a wet vampire. And then he goes and like hangs out with octopuses, and everyone's like, yeah, we're cool with that for some reason. We're fine with you being a wet vampire, even though moonlight reflecting off of water would kill you. You still hang out in the ocean? Coolsies. All right. But after him, it's Toxrill, the giant 7-mana 7/7 slug. Toxrill plays a card called Infernal Genesis. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player puts the top card of his library into your graveyard. They then put X/1/1 black minion token creatures on the battlefield, where X is that card's converted mana cost, and then Toxrill kills all of those creatures, and then you get a bunch of slugs. You can sacrifice those slugs to draw cards. You can sacrifice them for mana. You can even sacrifice them to mill them further with Altar of Dementia, which, as we've covered, is maybe or maybe not a bannable card. I think that Infernal Genesis at under $1 right now is as good a buy as Citadel of Pain was when they printed Yurlok. Yeah. Within the set, Toxrill is more popular than Yurlok, but maybe more Yurlok decks get built overall than Toxrill decks because we're getting 25 new legendary creatures every 3 months, and we weren't when they printed Commander Legends. I don't know. All I know is that Infernal Genesis is 3 times as rare as Citadel of Pain. It's 1/10 of the cost right now. So if you think people are going to play Toxrill at all, I would look into a sub $1 rare that, I don't know, Citadel of Pain went to like $6, $7, $8, you know? Could Infernal Genesis go to $6, $7, $8 being 3 times as rare? Maybe. Or maybe it's not as obvious to people who aren't going to build the deck and it doesn't go anywhere. I think we're about to find out whether or not it's more important for a card to be perceived to be playable or to be actually be played. And exciting times for basically upending all the work I've done for the last 4 years. It's really exciting. So that was a long pick of the week, but it was also a little bit of a lecture about, you know, relative card prices and, you know, how much they're played relatively and how there are 43 listings of Infernal Genesis on TCG Player right now. And is that a lot? I don't know. Were there more or fewer yesterday? I don't know.
That's basically nothing.
Yeah, it's basically nothing because half of those are going to be damaged and foreign language cards. So it's realistically, it is 25 near mint to LP English listings.
This is a good pick. You said it's a high risk, high reward pick. This is a low risk, high reward pick. I like this a lot.
Well, I mean, you're paying 50 cents for it.
You need to find quantity. Like, if you can buy, like, 10x of these from, like, CK or, like, Cool Stuff or, like, whatever
Cool
other
Stuff
website.
Is sold out.
Like, what
CK is sold out.
Yeah, you need to find, like, some random niche hole-in-the-wall website that has these for, like, $1.50. That's where I'd be fine paying the 3x to get quantity. And just getting like a double-digit number of these. I like this pick a lot.
It's I honestly thought that Infernal Genesis was going to pop earlier because of Griswold or Cardor or Ayara or Sir Conrad or Massacre Girl or Karavek. Like all these chances for the card to go up. So is Toxrill going to do it? I don't know. I just know that it's sold out on Card Kingdom and Cool Stuff Inc. And I know that there are like 55 listings on TCG Player. So
yep,
seems good.
Okay, so my pick of the week is the opposite of high risk. It is safe. It is free money. It is just a thing you can put dollars into and then get dollars out of. And that is a big old DJ rubber stamp guarantee. we haven't really talked on this podcast about like the financial value of buying secret layers and how like free money a lot of those are.
Yeah.
But there is a freer money one coming up that is just dead set easy. Like some of them have been a little bit of a stinker, but like this one is just very, very easy. The vampire one that is coming out later this week / early next week, the drop for that one, has like Exquisite Blood and Phyrexian Tower and Night's Whisper.
Yeah.
And it retails for $30, and all of those cards have been, not Night's Whisper, 2 out of 3 of those cards have been more than that rate in the past. And now they have cool vampire art and have stickers on the bottom that prove their authenticity, which is a problem that cards like Exquisite Blood and Phyrexian Tower have had in the past. You should just buy as many as you can afford of that secret layer. Like that's just very, very good way to make money, and it's very effortless. Plus if you make enough money, you just keep one for yourself. So like if you're like, I'm not in it to make money, buy enough that like the profit you are going to make gives you a free one. Yeah,
like if you spend a couple hours dumping a bunch of them, get like $100-$200 profit and get a free one, you're like, oh, I did a finance. You did your finance for the month. We're telling you basically how to target free money.
Yeah, the biggest way you would have trouble making this pick work for you is if you have an ethical frustration with Wizards printing secret layers as a product, which I get. I don't fault you for that, and I think that's a fine stance to take. But like if you have no problems buying secret layers and you have no problem waiting 4 months to be reminded that you bought secret layers, because I believe it's estimated to ship in April, so you'd be putting money in like November and getting it out.
Yeah.
Well, you don't put money in. They charge
you when it ships.
Yeah.
So you're committing.
But like if you're comfortable with that investment level, because I'd recommend maxing out on these at like 30 of them or whatever if you can. That it's Exquisite Blood and Phyrexian Tower.
Mm-hmm.
That's the
with
Night's
new
Whisper's
better
a freebie.
art. With new better art plus the anti-counterfeit foil stamp.
Plus whatever bonus cards you get that could be a 1 of 100 Smothering Tithe, or I don't know, whatever staples they throw out with like the baseball card style limited print run. Like you could get one of those, but you'll get a bonus card of some kind. So like
I would like a game worn jersey. Can't we do that? Can't we have some esports cut up jerseys or something like that? That'd be cool, right?
You'll have to talk to Cedric Phillips about that one.
Ooh, scratch and sniff magic card.
I'm surprised I'm very surprised that hasn't existed yet.
This one smells like Caleb Durwood's beard. That would be good, right? Scratch
Reed
and
Duke's
sniff.
hair.
Oh, I bet Reed Duke's hair smells amazing. Yeah, there you go.
This is a great secret lair idea.
I would like to be sports cards. Wizards wants us to be sports cards. Why can't we fully be sports cards?
So, like, as another tangent, this is another thing I talked about with somebody else in the industry over the weekend. Magic has been, like, historically very bad at, like, building, I don't even know what to call it, like a universe, or like a, I guess universe is the best way to put it, and they're, like, something that Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and League of Legends have been very good at. Like, just the Netflix
getting a TV show on Netflix?
Oh, the Netflix show, like, having the ability to buy,
Pokemon,
like, plushies.
Yu-Gi-Oh.
Like, plushies, even. Like, you can buy, like, a Blue Eyes White Dragon plushie, or, like, a Pikachu plushie, or, like, a Jinx plushie, or whatever. Like, just having, like, additional media to, like, surround yourself and, like, have this be, like, a part of you from, like, multiple angles. Magic has historically been very bad at. They have touched their toes into the water and reacted in a way that seems like they just hate the idea of being, like this, just a universe. Like, friggin' Fibblethip plushies, come on. Like, that's something that it may exist, but if it does, it hasn't.
Yeah, if it does exist, it's so hard to get and rare that, yeah.
Like, why is there no Brushwag plushie? Or like a Stormcrow plushie? Or, like, Magic has a hard time, like, cutening its image because, like, Planeswalkers are the face of the game. But, like, even just, like, from a official branding, like, cosplay or like just like the Funko Pops were like a delve into that. The Funko Pops and like were like the closest they've ever come to trying to touch to be like popular culture, and I think the Netflix show is going to be very, very good for the game. Like,
well, they did all
people are
kind of
very-
shit, but it was in such small quantities that even like people that were very enfranchised didn't know about it.
Yeah.
They're like, it's a $355 2 ounce of sterling silver with Jace stamped into it. Do you want that for $375? And everyone's like, I guess.
The Jace shoes were lit. Like, I'm not a shoe guy, but like that was like a cool thing that they have trouble doing. They did that one like 7 foot. You guys remember this? They did like a 7 foot tall Chandra statue or some weird cringe garbage. Like that was a thing.
The Garrick axes, that was a thing.
The Garrick axes were cool as hell. Like that's, but like they've never been able to successfully like bring in people from outside Magic. At least from my perspective, I have a very skewed perspective of this game. The way that Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh have with their other forms of media and other forms of games, like Magic board game did not work. Like whatever. I do think that with the Netflix show coming up, and this might be the hottest take of the podcast, I think a medium to bad Netflix show is better for Magic than like a good organized play system.
Ooh.
If you spend the same amount of money on both.
Ooh. I don't know if the show can be medium.
Probably not, but like
they cast Brandon Routh as Gideon. So it's already perfect. Right?
Also, we could have had this conversation 8 years ago when they announced the Magic movie.
Ooh. Yeah?
maybe
They were talking
but,
about
like,
a movie in 1997. Can you imagine?
right.
The Crew of the Weatherlight? Ooh, that would have been so good.
Exactly, and like it's so hard to explain because like Pokemon's way more obvious. Pokemon's the easy one because like they're friends. They look like friends and they're designed to be hugged. Whatever. That's like the freebie.
Yeah.
But like Yu-Gi-Oh and League of Legends have designed like their culture and their universe to be so much more accessible and like expandable than Magic has. Even though Magic was A, the first, and B, like was bigger at times.
Like, it seems like you're suggesting that Magic appealing over the years traditionally to a small subset of particular demographics may not have been great for them being accessible to wider demographics. Go figure.
Yeah, for sure.
It doesn't matter. At any time, they can just figure it out. Right? Magic isn't screwed forever. Magic could tomorrow figure it out, and then a bunch of people will find Magic, and they're like, oh, I've heard of this, and now I like it. Like,
they've done much better over the. They've been doing much better, but it's a long process to get to some of those.
They cast Brandon Routh.
It is.
They figured it out.
Corbin's right in that like it is a huge, long process. One that like if it has started, we may not know like that it has. We may not see those cogs moving until like 3 or 4 years from now, right? And it's like Arcane took 6 years to make. Arcane is League of Legends, sort of like child that they've been working on for the past like 6 years, and it's beautiful. It is incredible. It is one of the best things I've seen on Netflix.
It's
in years,
very
but, like,
Victor heavy.
We also
who's clamoring for more Victor content?
Me.
But
yeah.
like,
but also the other thing though is Wizards has done a lot of work in this area with Secret Layers.
I'm not talking about Secret Layers. I'm not talking about physical cards.
I understand that, but like this is how
that's their attempt though. That's their the mechanism they're trying.
That's such a boomer way to do it though.
I mean,
far be it for me to criticize the oldest and most successful card game in history. And I don't want to hear about how more people play Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon.
I think the marketing problems when it comes to that in Magic is much more deep seated than.
I agree. I absolutely agree.
Like there's a lot there, but I like Secret Layers and the fact that they brought in Walking Dead fans. They've had great Secret Layer crossovers. That sort of stuff is how they, are as a large corporation monetizing their increased, accessibility or whatever word you want to use there to appeal to other demographics.
The way my friend put it is that Magic has a very hard time being cool.
Is League cool?
Yeah.
League's universe is cool. Like, League of Legends itself
To
may
who?
not be a cool game,
To
but
who?
like you can like envelop yourself in any form of media that Riot has made.
League was cool. Yeah, League
There
was
is
cool.
something for everybody. There is something for every single person, whether it's turn-based RPG, whether it's a card game, whether it's a MOBA, whether it's like a TV show, whether it's like cosplay. Like, I mean, like Magic
It's
has
really-
delved in.
Yeah, it's also really easy for nerds to dunk on League, but like, yes, League was cool. Like, I remember seeing, NBA players who were hyped to go to the Cloud9 or the like Curse House and play with their favorite player, right? Like, League was cool. It's easy to dunk on it now, but it was cool.
And like they've figured out how to like dodge the sinking ship because League of Legends cannot be cool forever, and like build a universe off of that with the systems that they've created.
And WotC has Commander. We talk about how that's been the best thing to happen to Magic, and it is. That's the only thing that's made Magic cool.
And Watts
Like-
had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, like the game nights and all the programs that spawned. That's been going back to the earlier roots of like Spell Slingers. When Day 9 used to do those, and all those other crossover things. These were those attempts at being cool, and it kind of finally figured it out when they got Commander, because
Like
they could
this-
never make the Spell Slingers. Like, no Magic player ever cared to really watch minor celebrities play intro decks against each other, right?
I guess
Commander made it cool.
my overall point is that like I think that the Netflix show is going to be one of the biggest things that has like boosted Magic popularity in the past several years. Even if it's bad,
Yeah.
I think the Netflix show is going to do very, very good things for Magic.
Yeah, I think you're right. An example here is a similar thing. People talked about like my son's been into Goosebumps recently, and talked about like, oh, you remember they had like a Goosebumps show, and they talked the author talked about how, I think it was the author of Goosebumps, may have been a different children's story. It's like how even like a bad or weird TV show, and how people were like, oh, people won't read the books anymore, they're just going to watch it on TV. But they sold so many more books because people were watching it on TV. It's kind of the same principle. We're like,
Yep.
Yeah, people would watch Game of Thrones and they're like, oh man, are the books this shitty? And then they read the books and they're like, they're not. Wish I had more books.
that show, yeah. Anyway,
And like the craziest thing
Finish
about
your
Magic,
sentence.
the craziest thing about Magic is that they, by the design of their multiverse as opposed to universe, they can do anything that they want to. Riot's restricted to Runeterra. Pokemon is restricted to their regions and their like sort of what they've built, and like same for like all these other like companies that have built a universe. And Magic has a multiverse. They can do so much with that. They could do like a Netflix series for every god scene. Like that, there's so much there.
I agree. There could be a lot of cool stuff. Imagine like a Netflix anthology series that was the story of different blocks.
Yeah, that'd be hype.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Well, who knows? Maybe one day we'll get all these things. We can dream. In the meantime, though, you've got this podcast. At least we're not going anywhere. So thank you everybody for listening. Reminder: you can check us out.
Anybody who thinks we're going somewhere stopped listening after last week when you made everybody think that we weren't.
That was a good bit.
Was a good.
Yeah,
bit.
but if they didn't listen to the end of it, was it a good bit or?
The best part of that bit was that the episode was titled "The Nice" and people still got by it.
It's true. Like for that, it was pretty memey as a whole. I think it was worth it. But if you like that content, reminder, we've got end of the year rewards going at patreon.com/BSB. In addition to all the normal perks, the spreadsheet access, the glasses, all the cool stuff we send out, you are going to get additional end of the year perks just as a thank you. So everybody, thank you so much for listening to BSB. We'll see you next week.